All right, so we have talked about the Four Noble Truths. We've talked about the middle path. We've talked about thusness. Now, one of the things that we need to begin to look at are the innovations made by Gautama Siddhartha, the Buddha, with regard to the cosmological vision of Brahmanical thought and the new word for you, the soteriological vision. Soteriology, this is a word that has to do with the study of salvation, liberation. So heaven, moksha, terms like this, these are all soteriological terms, right? What we want to look at are the cosmological and soteriological innovations made by Gautama Siddhartha, the Buddha, with regard to Brahmanical thought and how he makes it into Buddhism, basically, and gets it going in this Buddhist direction. Okay? So that's what we're going to look at. All right. Let me begin by saying a little something about the things that, or really the idea that he doesn't change. The idea that he doesn't change, the idea that more or less stays constant in Brahmanical thought and Buddhist thought is samsara, the cycle of birth, death, and rebirth. Now, I suppose I probably ought to say a little something about this right now. I know that within the threads there's been a great deal of discussion about whether or not samsara ought to be taken symbolically or literally. I think within the philosophical traditions that I'm aware of, both in the Brahmanical tradition and in the Buddhist tradition, there really, to some extent, the idea of taking it literally doesn't exactly make sense. What samsara is a principle. It's a way in which things come to be what they are. A bit like gravity, right? I mean, gravity acts in a certain way upon matter and forces matter to congeal and take up space and express volume and do things like this. That's what it does. But it's not something that you take literally or symbolically. It simply is a principle of the way in which things are. Well, samsara is the same sort of way. Samsara is simply this dynamic that things, insofar as they express a present state of being, are perpetually perishing by virtue of being what they are. This is the state that you're talking about in Brahmanical thought. This is the state you're talking about in Buddhist thought. You can apply that literally to things in the sense that we are perpetually decomposing, that we are perpetually moving, changing, shifting, going from one state to the next state to the next state. Or you can take it metaphorically and symbolically and see the way in which things in principle are changing from one to the next and the next. Really, there's no difference between the two. In order for something to be what it is, it must be shifting, it must be moving, it must be becoming one thing to the next to the next. So there is no literal sense to it. It is merely shifting. This is what samsara is, and it's consistent both for Buddhist and for Brahmanic thought. So, the place where Buddhism really begins to shift away from the Brahmanic tradition is in terms of Atman and in terms of Brahman. Now remember these terms, Atman and Brahman. Atman, true self. Brahman is absolute reality. Within the Buddhist tradition, both of these terms are absolutely negated. They are denied. There is no true self. There is no Atman. And there is no absolute reality. There is no Brahman. Rather, what you are left with when you try to talk about what there is, what we can say is the case, is an Atman. Not the true self, but the no self. Nothing. There is no self at the core. And when we try to talk about absolute reality, there is no Brahman. Rather, what there is Shunya. Shunya, which means void or empty. There is simply vacuity. This idea, this is hard for us to grasp. And it's hard for us to grasp because we say, well, there's got to be something. I mean, insofar as even we refer to that there is a something that is there. Insofar as there's a that, doesn't there have to be a something? But the Buddhists would say, no, there doesn't need to be anything. When there appears to be something, this appearance of something is generated by this perpetual grasping, by this superimposition, by this generation, by this positing on the world. But there is not a thing that is out there. There is not a presence that is out there. There is not a reality that is out there. Rather, what there is merely a sense that there seems to be something. But really, the nature of reality is to be empty, is to be, and this is a term that you hear again and again and again in Buddhist thought, merely thus. So if we ask, what is at the heart of the self? What is the true self? Is it Atman? Is it this absolute reality that is this underlying condition for identity? No. What it is, what is at the heart of the self? What is it that makes me, me, you, you, anybody what they are, is not Atman, but Anatman, the no self. The image that's often given with this is a cord that is wrapped around like a rope. You know, you wrap around a rope a little bit, and it does make a rope, but you take apart the rope, and what do you find? You don't find sort of an inner rope or ropeness or the essence of rope or anything like that. What do you find at the center of the rope? You find nothing. You find emptiness. You find zero. When it comes to Brahman, absolute reality, where is this absolute reality? What is this absolute reality? All this absolute reality amounts to is Shunya, emptiness, void, nothing. It's not presence, it's absence. It's the capacity for things to act and do without ever being or presenting in any way. It is understanding this, that this is the nature of reality, to be empty, to be void, to be space, to simply be this field of possibility in which things might be. This is the ground of reality within Buddhism. Now this is really hard, because we hear this and immediately the Buddhists recognize, we think, yeah, but there's got to be some me. I know there's a me here. I know that there's a self here. I know that there's an essence here. I know there's a reality out there. I mean, there's got to be, right? This is what people say. This is not the case in Buddhism, because they ask, what could this possibly be? What could it be other, and think back to the other lecture, other than merely thus? What could it be? It can't be anything, right? It can't reduce down to anything. All you have is this space in which things can merely be the way they are, such as they are. I'll leave you with this final example. It's a classic example from the Buddhist tradition. You might think, well, yeah, but come on, it seems like there's all this stuff that's here, right? I mean, there's things, there's objects. You look around a room, I'm sure there's plenty of things around your room, just like there's all these books and this table and this stuff here that I'm with. Doesn't there have to be something there? Well, imagine this. Imagine you're in a dark room with a sparkler, torch, if you like, and you're swinging it around. And I know I did this when I was a kid. I'd use it to swing it around and spell my name and do all sorts of fun things and make figures with the sparkler. And it seemed like there was a ribbon that was following the sparkler, but there wasn't really a ribbon. The ribbon was simply generated by a misunderstanding on the part of my eyes in interpreting the motion of the sparkler. And so it made it seem like there was a ribbon, but there was never really a ribbon. And when the sparkler stopped moving, the ribbon vanished, not because it was destroyed, but because it was recognized for what it was, which is something that basically never really existed, right? The ribbon that I was making, it didn't really exist. It was just a byproduct of my misunderstanding. So it is with the things in the world. All these things, you, me, the objects around us, the identity, the consciousness, everything that seems to be here, this is not real. It's a byproduct. It's a byproduct of this activity, just like the ribbon of the sparkler, the ribbon of the torch in the dark. And in the same way that when this activity stops and vanishes, so it is that which we call real vanishes as well. It is coming to bring our minds to recognize this that is the beginning of the realization of enlightenment within Buddhism. All right, more in a second.